Welcome back to FM Story in the latest episode of our Athletic Club Save. Our first episode of the third season didn't exactly go to plan. We got hammered 9-1 by Real Madrid. We got hammered 3-0 by Real Betis. But thankfully we managed to pick up a couple of wins towards the end of the episode. So hopefully we can continue that good form and push on in the Champions League. Before we do get started, if you do enjoy the video, please comment, like, subscribe. And without further ado, let's get going. So we're coming towards the end of October. We've had a bit of an uptick in form since the end of the last episode. We had won a couple of games together in a row towards the end of the episode. We'd beaten Valencia and Villarreal at the end of the last episode. We followed that up with a 3-0 victory against Rennes in the Champions League. And we got off to a decent start in that one. We beat Celta in the league 1-0. Nicked a winner there. We didn't play great at all, really. And then we won 2-0 away at Granada. We really kind of struggled to break them down in the first half. Inigo Martinez scored a screamer from outside the box to get us going. And then Valabra picked up his customary goal in the last 10 minutes to give us a bit more of a comfortable performance and a 2-0 victory. And then we drew 1-1 against Chelsea. We beat Rennes 3-0 in the Champions League. Valabra got a couple of goals early on to put us off to a good start, and then Nico Serrano picked up a late goal just to make it a bit more secure. And then in the last game, we drew 1-1 with Chelsea. Basically, they were all over us most of the game, and somehow 38-year-old Raul Garcia sprinted away from the Chelsea defence to slot home to pick up a draw for us. We've got a tough game coming up. Obviously, the next game is at home to Barcelona. Given how we did when we played Real Madrid earlier in the season, it fills me a bit with dread as to what this Barcelona team might do to us. But currently in the league, we're sat fourth. We still have a negative goal difference, but those last two games in a row, wins in a row, have pushed us up the table. Barcelona are actually top of the table at the moment, haven't lost a game. They've won 7, drawn 1 of their opening 8 games. In terms of sort of individuals, Valabra has continued his great form from last season. And in terms of the Champions League, obviously it's the new league phase, so we're currently sat sort of practically slap bang in the middle, in 17th with 5 points from 3 games. We've won 1, drawn 2 of the opening games. The issue we've got in the Champions League is we've got a couple of tough games coming up against Juventus, against Man City, and against Inter. So we're going to need to get some points where we can get them to try and finish in the top 24 to be able to go through to the next round of the Champions League. Going into the game against Barcelona, we've got a full strength side available. The only debate we have is really who to play right back between Ander Kappa and Alvaro Odriozola. Neither one of them's really made the position their own so far this season, but other than that, it's a full strength team that we've got available. It's going to be key that we get off to a good start. We can't afford anything like we had in the Real Madrid game. It's going to be a big test for this little tweak in the formation that we've had. Nico Williams down the left-hand side. Back to Javi Lopez. Back to Nico Williams. Into the box. Oh, that would have been a great start. Not an awful lot's happened in these first 15 minutes. Gavi looking for Ansu Fati. He's got past the fullback. Come back to Jordi Alba. Thankfully, it loops up into the air, into the arms of Unai Simon, who's gone long, and we've just given it straight back to their centre halves. Gavi, Lewandowski's through. Lovely save by Simon. Right, Dembele is away down the right hand side. It's the byline. Surely there was someone for him to pull back for rather than trying that shot. Jordi Alba, we've nicked the ball back with Kappa, back to Simon. Long. Right, we've nicked the second ball. Nico Williams, Muniain. Oh! All in all, quite happy with that first half. They've not really created too many good chances, but every time, we practically fell asleep in attack, looking at how that XG went. But every time they get the ball wide, Fati and Dembele look like they're going to go past our fullbacks, and then they've got Lewandowski in the box, who's always a bit of a threat. I think we'll send the same team out for the second half and see if we can get nick a goal. Now Koundé's away on the right hand side. Gavi. Oh, with the free kick. We've headed clear. He's picked up the loose ball. And that's a great save back. Oh, it must hit the bar there. So Vivian brings it down. Venkador, Inigo Martinez, Sunset. Kappa to Inaki Williams in loads of space. Drives forward. Squares it. Valabra, 1-0. Pretty much against the run of play, you would say. Particularly the way the second half seems to have started. But Williams had loads of space, drove in a bit towards the goal, and then none of the centre halves none of the players tracked Valabra back, and he nicked in front of the full back just to tap that home. Stegen lumps it forward. It's flicked on, but there's no one there to get it. Unai Nunez to Vivian. Venkador, Javi Lopez, Nico Williams. Javi Lopez back to Nico Williams. Javi Lopez and Venkador. Oh, and Julian John Guerrero's nicked it, and that's a great finish. I thought we'd lost it out there once Venkador kind of gets it nicked off him. But the defender takes a heavy touch. Julian John Guerrero takes one touch away from him and then smashes it into the far corner. Ansu Fati through the middle. Dembele. Mazraoui on the overlap. And Ansu Fati, surely that was offside, referee. Must have been offside. Unless that's the only thing could be the fullback as he's in trying to block the cross. He's definitely ahead of the defenders in the box. So it can only be Javi Lopez at left back that's maybe played him on there. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, it has to be. That's very close. Right, we've got 5 minutes to hold on to this. We've got corner. They've headed clear. Julian John Guerrero picks the ball up. Back to Sunset. And Christensen's given the ball away. They're obviously chasing the ball, but Christensen was very loose on the ball there. Sunset nicks in, squares it to Valabra, who couldn't believe his luck that he was that close to the goal without any defenders anywhere near him. Just a simple tap-in. And that's us 3-1 up, and surely we can't throw this away now. Brilliant performance. First goal was probably a touch against the run of play, but as soon as that first goal went in, look at the XG. We dominated the game from that point onwards and fully deserved that 3-1 victory. Barcelona's first loss of the season, and that should now be us with a positive goal difference, despite the fact that we're in 4th in the table. Quite how we'd managed to, well, obviously we conceded 9 against Real Madrid, so that's why we held on to that for as long as that. Right, so we're going into the game against Inter in the Champions League. Since the game against Barcelona, we've played 2 more games in the league. First one was away at Girona, which we won 2-1. We did kind of rotate the team a little bit and had to bring the big players on at the end, and only managed to pick up a victory because of 2 late goals from Valabra after Girona had taken the lead. And then we played Burgos away from home and beat them comfortably 3-0. We were 3-0 up after half an hour. Again, we'd kind of rotated the team a bit just to give some rest to players. We played Nico Williams through the middle, and he rewarded us with a goal. Nico Serrano had popped up with an early goal, and there was an own goal there as well. And obviously now we're moving into the game against Inter Milan. We're currently sat in 17th in the Champions League. We've 5 points from 3 games. So it's going to be important to see if we can get something away at Inter Milan. In terms of the league, we've managed to push ourselves up to 2nd in the table. We still only have a low positive goal difference, but we've now won 7 on the bounce to take us to 27 points after 11 games. We've got a full squad available, so we're going with our first choice team. Again, like with the Barcelona game, we don't really know which of our right backs is best. So Odriozola's getting the start in this one. There's a couple of players on the bench that are struggling a bit for fitness, but all of the first team players, all the starting lineup are fit and raring to go. Obviously, it's going to be a bit of a test against a strong Inter Milan team, particularly away from home. So it's important that we get off to a decent start and keep it tight for a little while. So it's an interesting little formation that they've got, kind of a 5-3-2, but with a holding midfielder by the looks of it. But they've got talent all across the team. Obviously, we'll go in with our usual formation and set up the little tweak we've had in terms of some of the player roles from when we were struggling on early on in the seasons. Paid kind of dividends, particularly that game against Barcelona. So hopefully that can continue, and hopefully we can at least pick up a point in hitting this and sort of stay unbeaten in the Champions League. So there's really not much happening in this first 10 minutes. One shot from either side, from Inter Milan, none from us. Javi Lopez to Inigo Martinez, Danny Vivian. Nice ball by Venkador, nodded down. Was Nico Williams offside when that ball came through? It's a lovely little ball from Venkador, but Nico Williams had just gone a touch too early. He nods it down, it comes off a defender, and Valabra smashed home, but he was offside. Still not an awful lot happening in this game. It's very tight. We've nicked the ball there. Venkador looks for Valabra, but he dropped off. They've gone long there. Odriozola, Inaki Williams, Venkador. Keeping the ball well, but we're not really kind of penetrating anywhere here. Odriozola's in acres of space there to Inaki Williams. Oh, and Çalhanoğlu down the line to Barella. Back to Çalhanoğlu. Oh, and they've hit the post. Muniain with the corner. I think that was Inigo Martinez. It was powering home the header at the near post. We struggled a bit with corners in the last sort of half a season or so. Lovely ball to the near post, gets up ahead of the defender, gives the keeper no chance. Great to go into half time with that lead. Looking at the XG, probably slightly against the run of play, but neither side's really created an awful lot. Çalhanoğlu with a free kick. Surely that's not offside. I think we've got away with one there, surely. So the free kick comes across from Çalhanoğlu. Bastoni at the back post. Is that offside? Really? Right, Vivian to Odriozola. We've given the ball away. Lautaro through. Great save by the keeper. Neither side's doing an awful lot. This has been quite. I mean, that was obviously, looking at the XG, that was quite a good chance for Lautaro Martinez, but neither side's really doing an awful lot here. Injury time. Surely we're not going to throw this away now. Come on. Why does a highlight starting this late scare the living daylights out of me? Especially when we're giving the ball away like that. Oh, we've nicked it back. That was a strange highlight. 1-0 victory, we'll take that. Up to 8 points in the Champions League after 4 games. That'll do us. Really the aim with the Champions League this season, obviously the top 8 skips around, but as long as we're in the top 24 and we get into that knockout round, that's what we're aiming for. So that's us moved actually up to 9th with that 8 points after 4 games. Just outside the top 8 on goal difference. Pretty much any of the teams that have got 3 points are going to be in with a chance of getting into that top 24 at the end of the groups, or end of this league phase, sorry. So that's just reached the end of November. Overall, it's been a pretty decent month in terms of how things have gone for us. I mean, as you can see from the table there, we're in second place, 1 point behind Real Madrid. which, considering they hammered us 9-1 earlier in the season, is a bit of an achievement. So since the game against Inter Milan, we've played 3 games. We've played 2 in the League and 1 in the Champions League. So we managed to beat Levante 4-1. Again, we kind of rotated a few players in and out there. We gave Aymar a start in the role behind the front man. They scored very early on with a screamer. I think they had a 0.02 XG for the whole game. And it took us until the 67th minute to get back on terms. And then we scored 3 after the 88th minute. So it looks a lot more comfortable than it actually was. We scored in the 88th minute, the 90th minute, and 90+1. It certainly wasn't that comfortable as we were going through the game. And it was just a bit of, I think we brought some of the experienced players on, a bit of fresh legs at the end, and we were able to overcome them. We then followed that up with a 4-3 win against Rayo Vallecano, and basically we stopped playing. We were 3-0 up. Julian John Guerrero got a couple on Nico Williams. They pulled a goal back in the 67th minute. We went further ahead in the 68th minute. They then scored another in the 69th minute, and they scored another late on, which meant we were kind of really, really struggling and holding on in that game. But we managed to hold out and win 4-3, and that's given us 9 wins on the bounce in the league. And then we ended the month, unfortunately, with a defeat against Freiburg in the Champions League. We really weren't at the races. You can tell by the player ratings. We were poor. They got a goal fairly early on, and we never looked like getting back into it. Looking ahead, we've got some big games coming up in December and January. We've got Atletico Madrid. Looking ahead, we've got some big games coming up in December and January. We've got Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. We've got Real Madrid in the league. And we've got big Champions League ties against Marseille, Man City, and Juventus. And that's the end of this episode. Join us next time to see those games in December and January, and hopefully we can still qualify for the knockout round of the Champions League, and hopefully we can perform a bit better against Real Madrid than we did earlier on in the season. See you then.